Okay, and here we are, folks. Knicks versus Bulls post-game review 104-103. Man, this was a nail biter for sure. In my review, we talked about the Bulls being the young gunslingers, and that was kind of true for the most part. They did find very fast ways to get the ball to each other and score, especially when they needed quick points. We'll discuss that more when the highlights are playing. Right now, let's take a look at the stats and a little bit of the statistical part of the game. As we can see here, Randle had a very interesting night. Almost had a triple-double, but Randle played an interesting role as the superstar that was finding other people before he found himself. So, very unselfish, and so unselfish that he led the team in assists, which I thought was pretty cool. Kemba Walker and RJ were the highlights when it came to points in this game. Kemba 5 for 6 from 3, which I thought was great. 7 of 12, really cleaned up, which is really, really good. 4 rebounds, crucial, very nice. 2 assists. I don't know how I feel about 2 assists, but I understand because when you have Julius Randle, you're probably going to be second unless you're someone that's above the level of Julius Randle. This is now year 2 that he's consistently doing this. And really, if you think about it, it's probably year 4 or 5 that he's been coming into his own. He's just now reaching that potential. RJ, man, fantastic work by RJ. Really, really, really crucial, clutch performance. Took the time. Like I said in my previous reviews, RJ, you'll see his expertise as the individual defender, as the individual player, and what he does, and how it complements a team. So long as you find RJ in a role that fits with him, which is a really good role because he bodied Zach LaVine on a lot of those. Like him, he was on DeMar. He contested that DeMar last shot. Zach LaVine. These guys are getting frustrated, especially Zach. Sure, because of the fouls, but admittedly, I had to pause because the phone rang and I didn't want to get it on recorded on my audio. So, a fun little tidbit. RJ. Getting back to the review, RJ, I think 8 of 15 is clutch. 3 of 3 for free throws is nice. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 20 points. Drove, had a righty finish, lefty finish, shot, did a few this, did a few that. D Rose was super great to watch, fantastic. Loves being the guy that can play and know what he's doing. I think that's great for him. You get D Rose type numbers, 5 of 10. He does like to shoot in double digits, so he will try his best to get that. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. I thought that was nice, good for, and really in the beginning he was nice. It was good to watch for the first 2 quarters. For the Bulls, DeRozan, Vucevic, Zach LaVine, all scored 20 points. And it's interesting, they all scored 20 points, and defensively they were stopped. They did come back, but defense is what stopped them. So just hound these guys. And it's interesting, we'll talk a bit more about the defensive strategy that Tibbs had on the Bulls. At least, and just sit down and kind of chat about it together. Patrick Williams, 6 points. Julius Randle really... that matchup was not a good matchup, even though Julius was held to 13 points, but he did everything else, right? And he almost got a triple-double. The only guy in the game that even had a double-double, period. So I guess you could say that he probably was the best player on the floor tonight overall, based off his performance. Statistically, of course, that could be different, and your opinion could be different. Lonzo Ball. So here's the thing about Lonzo, right? 1 for 6 for 3. Keep that in mind. He shot the ball, and he did not shoot well. And those threes looked flat. Alex Caruso, energy guy, 33 minutes. I don't know if he's on the path to become a sixth man of the year, but he is basically what I would consider their sixth man. He's their energy guy off the bench, which I think is cool. I think it's really good for him, and he's wearing 6, which is really cool. Maybe it's a him and LeBron thing because they were boys, probably still are. So Levine, 7 of 17, got flustered a lot, emotional. When he gets emotional, he needs buckets to get himself back in. I noticed in this game. I don't know how it is overall, but he needed to. His planning and the way he moved, he needed to score because he felt that he wasn't getting his calls, right? Vucevic had 22. I think he's averaging like 14 or 15 a game, so he went above his average. They shot well from the free throw line. Didn't shoot too well from 3. 42% from the field and 90% from the free throw line, but 45% and 37%, which is, tight game. Very, very, very tight game. And let's do team stats. See what we find. So the Knicks had 11 offensive rebounds. Really good. That was my one main thing. Assists, 2 main things, assists and rebounds. So as we look at rebounds, we really, really did a good job out rebounding everybody. They out assisted us. So we won, even though Julius Randle was really the only one that was passing the ball. 25 assists for them. Not really. It was more of a grinding game. It was more of a, trying to get stops. A play here, a play there, it goes out of bounds here. DeMar DeRozan steps on the line. Things along that sort of nature. So this wasn't a very hacky type of game, I feel, or a sloppy type of game. I think it was more of a defensive, trying to find what's going on. Bulls did get 1 flagrant foul, and our largest lead was 13. But even though the largest lead was 13, the issue is late in the game, you let them come back. And what if they made it? Kemba Walker, 21. Zach LaVine, 25. Listen, Zach LaVine can go for 50. Easy. 30, no problem. 20, not an issue at all. 40, he can do it. Rebounds, Randle had 16. Vucevic had 8. Assists, Randle had 9, Vucevic had 6. So the big guys really came up. Interesting. Lonzo, a team of a guard. There are 2 guards, and their forward can assist, and their big man led the team. We really, really disrupted them. Really disrupted them. As you can see the stats here. And now Knicks 4-1 in the division. Chicago 4-1 in their division as well. And Cleveland is a little surprise. We'll see what happens. Milwaukee's in their division. We'll see what happens with this, because this could change. And Indiana, Indiana, 100% attendance, 20,000. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so getting into the game and my opinions and thoughts and kind of my understanding. So Evan didn't really, I don't want to say show up, but Evan was there and helped in ways in which he could have helped, but slightly underperformed. I think the main stories for today is Derrick Rose's ability to, the first half Derrick Rose and that bench that came through in the clutch, and where to position Derrick Rose. I think that's the first thing. Derrick Rose, we've noticed in that overtime game, he had a fresh pair of legs, came in and really helped out in the overtime game against the Celtics. I wonder how Tibbs will adjust Derrick Rose's minutes so that we could potentially put him in the fourth quarter when we would need him, and also keep him in his scattered minutes in the first, second, and third. Kemba really came out. Second consistent performance for tonight. Consistent performance from the 3-point line. 21 points. Didn't didn't pass the ball too much, was looking to score his way. And that's where I think the minor flaw is in this case. I love the fact that he got 21 points. I think it's fantastic, the fact that he got 21 points. But we need to understand that he's better suited being... I know he's a shooting and a scoring point guard, I get it. But if he can give us like 16, 7, and 6, that will be more helpful than 21, 3, and 1 or 21, 4, and 1. Because it means other people have the opportunity and you're gelling more. Unless you really need to, unless you're hot, unless you're on fire, and you're having a great shooting night, then I completely understand. I completely get it. But Kemba, maybe as he's trying to find his scoring, let him get comfortable in finding his identity on this team so that this way he can be our point guard. So we can get more quality type of passes from this guy. Him and Randle, they can be our anchors when it comes to ball placement, passing the ball to your teammate, and moving them off the ball. Those could be our floor generals. And also D Rose off the bench. RJ, quality performance, man. Like I said in my last review, you talk about RJ and his on-ball defense. Very nice. And if you notice, this season, he's more comfortable, or he's getting into his groove a lot sooner, which I'm hoping. I'm hoping that what I'm saying maintains itself. But last season, when we were at this point, he was still trying to find himself. But now he's settling in a little bit sooner, which is really good, because Randall's going to need some help. Randall will need some help, trust me, especially with our schedule coming up. Randall will need a lot of help. So we're going to need those Fournier 3 threes in a row at some point. That's when Evan's going to have to step up. When they get that pick, and then Evan does a fake to the left and goes right, or like fakes right with the hezzy and then goes left and then shoots that 3. If Evan can, because that's what they like. That's the new that's the new Reggie Bullock and Julius Randle. Is Fournier and Randle at the 3 over by, like, not the top of the key, but a little bit like at the shoulder, I want to say. If that makes any sense. I know that terminology may not be right, because I think the shoulder might be the ends of the free throw line, right? The ends of the paint. But that would be really good. RJ would be really good if he maintains that nice drive, because we need some guys to drive in the paint. It's kind of just D Rose, maybe sometimes Julius. Mitch gets fed the ball. He's back to the basket type of guy. He got a 3-second violation today. If we can get another driver, that would be great. OB is he can run the floor really good. We really, really need to, even though he didn't perform too well tonight, but we have to understand OB's strength is dunking and running the floor. So fast break points, good transition buckets, getting him that opportunity. So finding a way to incorporate him, especially when it comes to those West Coast teams, if they want to kind of move fast and have a Showtime-esque like feel, so this way they can outrun us, we have Obi that can outrun the runners on the other team. Another thing, Mitch really has to be careful. Mitch, I get very, very worried about. I don't want him to hurt himself, and I feel at some point he might, based off just like the physical wear and tear of what's going on. It is somewhat crucial to either put Jericho Sims in, or when Nerlens Noel comes back, to offset some of the minutes just to kind of preserve him. I know that's a little weird to say because it's Tom Thibodeau, but we want to get past the first round. We want to get past the first round, and we're going to need another star player at some point. And if they see that it's working well, they're going to want to come. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Overall, a really good performance. A really good performance. We let some leads go. There were some points. There were some points in the game where we had gaps that we didn't score. 1 minute without scoring, 11-0 runs. NBA is a game of runs. We got to understand. But we out-rebounded them. And we really took the time to do that. We took them out of their groove. Defensively, Tibbs went from double-teaming DeMar and Zach LaVine. He said everyone else is going to beat us except DeMar and Zach LaVine. And then they started going mad, and then they started switching, and then they started doing these things, which I thought was really cool. So defensively, we switched up on them, and we didn't let them see us for what we could be. We didn't let them see us as just one thing. We showed them that, listen, you guys could be this offensive threat, but we'll come in and we'll grind out this win. Even though you can come back, even though you can do your thing and you can shoot some shots and you get some high energy, those fans are loud, man. I'll tell you that much. Those fans are loud as hell. Not as loud as Knicks fans. Bing bong, you know? But they are loud. Which I was worried about, because they're loud, they're going to get them back in. This team is small. Also, they had a very small lineup, the Bulls. And I think since we're a little bit taller than them, we took advantage of that. Thought that was cool. The Knicks bench, really nice, really nice. I'm so enjoying the IQ, even though IQ didn't have a great game today. IQ, Obi, D Rose, Mitch is sometimes with the second unit. Taj sometimes, that's what we switched with, Taj and Mitch. I thought Burks was nice. You know, if you think about it, D Rose, Burks, IQ, Obi, and Mitch, that's a starting roster on like a 15-man, on the worst team in the NBA. And that's a bench for the Knicks, and it's a quality bench. That's what's going to keep us in games. That's what's going to keep us when Julius Randle sometimes shoots 7 for 21 or 8 for 23. RJ has 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. When Fournier has 12 points. When Kemba's shooting 6 for 16. Something like that. We're going to rely on these guys to work and get back. I think Randall's performance today, he understood what he needed to do. And I thought that was important. I thought that was important for him. And listen, at the end of the day, here's how I'm going to wrap this. That Bulls team right now, they're pissed. Because now they have a tough schedule and they're going to have to try their best to grind out wins. And they just got on national TV. We just saw what happened. So now other teams saw that, and they're going to adjust, and we're going to see what happens. So I don't want to say we exposed them, but on national TV, we saw what the Bulls are when you do this type of strategy against them, right? And they're going to be pissed when they see us again. When this Bulls team sees us again, I am so curious to see what they're going to do, because I think that they're going to be upset. This game is marked on their calendar. Knicks need to understand that. These guys are going to probably just like try their best to just shoot threes and this and that. I know what their narrative might be. They're going to blame the refs. The refs, no calls, this, that, and the third. Julius Randle's getting these sort of calls. He doesn't need to be getting these calls. Yes, he does, because a lot of the time these were clean fouls. And to be honest with you, for the Bulls, they got into the bonus in the third quarter with like 8 minutes left or 6 minutes left, something like that. You can't put yourself defensively in that position, because for the Knicks, who don't usually perform decent, maybe not that well in the third, if you give them the opportunity to stop the game in the third, to collect themselves and find themselves, and when you foul them, you stop the clock and they shoot free throws, what if those are and ones? As for the Bulls, they got to be very careful, because this Knicks team is ever evolving. Of course, if they're injury free. So I think next game the Bulls are going to be really pissed. We'll see what happens. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you can get the job done. You can express emotion, but that does not mean that you can beat this team. You still got to suit up and you still got to play the basketball games. All right, guys, good win, nail biter, but on to the next one.